Forlorn Hope. Why aren't the Donner brothers part of this group?
George Donner is suffering from gangrene, injured his left hand fixing his wagon on the way up prior to the lake. And Jacob Donner has given up. He's in bed and he's not getting up, and nobody can tell him otherwise.
So what happens to them?
First couple days they went out, they got to the base of the pass and then up and over it, and then they were socked in after they lost their guide. Charles Stanton went snowblind, and he stumbled into camp, and the next morning when they were leaving, he was sitting on a stump. Mary Graves said, "Are you coming, Mr. Stanton?" And his eyes were pretty much swollen shut, and he was smoking his pipe on the log, and he said, "I'll be along presently, Mary." And they went ahead. He never showed up. The rescuers would find his bones in the spring.
Without Stanton to guide them, the group becomes hopelessly lost. Their meager food runs out, and a blizzard catches them in the open. They're pinned down in a makeshift tent for 5 days. When the storm finally passes, 2 other men are dead. Facing certain death, the survivors tearfully resort to the ultimate taboo, cannibalism. So many people say immediately, how could they have done that? I would never have done that. I could never engage in cannibalism. But in some ways, it's easy to say that, not having been here.
Right, it's very easy to say that when you're not in a position of choosing between death or eating the food that is forbidden food, but it's right in front of you.
The place where it happened has never been found, a spot known as the Camp of Death. And for many people who have heard about the Donner Party, this is kind of the end of the story as they know it, a tale of disaster and cannibalism. The terrible choice that the settlers made at the Camp of Death gave them enough strength to push forward and helped ensure that some of the so-called escape party managed to do just that. And of those 15 people that set out in the Forlorn Hope Party, how many of them ultimately survived and walked to safety?
Of the 15 snowshoers, all 5 women and just 2 of the 10 men survived the 33-day trip out of the Sierra.
Right. These survivors made their way down the western slopes of the mountains to find something they had nearly given up on: rescue. And for years, historians wondered exactly where it happened. I leave Frank and the snow behind and drive west, descending more than 6,000 feet in elevation to follow the pioneers' trail in hopes of discovering where it leads. The 15 members of the Donner Party, known as the Forlorn Hope, who tried to escape out of the mountains, figured it would take about a week for them to find rescue. 33 days later, only 7 of them managed to limp into the first outpost of civilization known as Johnson Ranch. It's an incredibly important part of this story, and yet, for years, its very location was lost to history. For as famous a story as the Donner Party, nearly no archaeological evidence of their harrowing journey has been found. Johnson Ranch could change that, since it's one of the only places we know they set foot. And since this is an extreme story, it requires extreme researchers. If there's anyone who might know exactly where the ranch was, it's Bob Crowley and Tim Tweetmeyer. The two of you are, to say this is a compliment, oddities. You are historians and you are ultra-marathoners. They don't make a lot of those. Can you brag on Tim's behalf?
Yeah, so one of the most famous ultra-marathons here in America is the Western States 100-mile endurance run.
A 100-mile run.
Tim is a 25-time under 24-hour finisher, 5-time winner. If there is a Michael Jordan of our sport, that's the guy right there.
That's incredible. Is this sport what led you to your interest in the Donner Party as historians?
It is. When you need to do field research, when you want to check a route, we can go into places on foot that most people wouldn't want to go or can't go.
These two have been obsessively researching Donner Party history, culminating in December of 2020, when they used their skills and historical knowledge to undertake a week-long trek in deep snow and sub-zero temperatures along the route they believe was taken by Forlorn Hope, a route they think led here. And the first person to make it here from the Donner Group is William Eddy, right?
The only one to make it to here.
Eddy actually was found a short distance from the ranch by Native Americans, who brought him the rest of the way to the adobe ranch house.
And the young gal there, 16 years old, greeted them at the door, this shadow of a man, and she cried, she wept, she was scared, looked like a ghost.
The other survivors of Forlorn Hope were quickly found and brought back to the ranch. If Bob and Tim are right, and this is that long-lost site, it would be nothing short of historic.
This story, the Forlorn Hope story in Johnson